This is ridiculous. This only damages the image of America. China will never try to be like a superpower, like the United States of America. And I hope our American friends will also know the basic or very simple principle. That is, history is the best teacher. Please believe me, China will never learn from a world superpower. China will never try to be hegemonic. Now there are people are talking a lot about the trade war between the US and China. They forgot about the trade war with the former rulers, the British colonialists. The American government finds that the people, the Chinese people on the two sides of the Taiwan Straits all believe there is only one China. All believe that Taiwan is part of China. The American government does not challenge this position. This is a very important sentence in the first joint communique between our two countries. But I'm afraid, sir, have you ever read that? Have you ever read it?
I suspect he has.
Many politicians of America read it, but they forgot it. And
Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you're doing fine wherever you are. This is a presenter, Jinjek Stories, and I'm glad you're good. Now, you could clearly see that there is a debate going on between this Chinese ambassador and the ex-United States president. And you could see the entitlement that the ex-vice president of the United States has. Because for the longest time, Americans have been lied to about the American dream, how the American is great, America is superpower. But at the end of the day, you're trying to see the other counterpart, not trying to argue in that line, but at least the points that he gives are authentic, or the points that he gives really make sense, in the sense that you don't have to be a superpower so that your country, citizen in your country, is to complain about the cost of living standard, housing, and everything. And to make matters worse is that just recently, when the TikTok was banned from people of the United States, they went to Red Note. Red Note is a Chinese app, of course. By now, everyone knows this. And that's when Americans realized that, indeed, they are no superpower. Like, it's all been a lie. And the American dream is nothing like they are always being told in the social media, right? And so this debate, it's going to be showing you how hypocritical the United States is, because from the argument of the ex-vice president of the United States, it's going to be showing you the true colors, because you can't tell me that you call yourself a superpower, and yet the person that you're debating with, you owe them debt. The United States owes China billions of money in debt. It owns China, and it owns citizens of China. So this is a double debt, right? So I want us to watch this video. It's a good debate. It's going to be giving you perspectives of how this really people think. But honestly, even before letting you watch the video, I think the Chinese ambassador gave crucial points that I think people need to look at, because it was so diplomatic when it comes to Chinese, and I think he represented China very well as compared to the vice president who was talking about the United States. So I want us to watch this video. I'll be back with my honest opinion in regards to the two debates that all these people gave. Until then, I'm gonna be seeing you at the end of the video. Let's watch the video. I'll be back. If you're watching this video for the first time, I'll most definitely ask you to subscribe to the channel, join our membership, and really get to what we can offer you. But until then, let's get into it.
What I'd like to do, I have a friend who's used to work for me in the policy area, who's given a lot of thought to China and Asia, focused on it. But he wrote something recently that I think sort of captures the perspective of a lot of Americans about what's happening. It's not necessarily official policy in that sense, but it's I think it is an effective way for those who want to understand what the concerns are. This is a fairly brief statement that I think my friend may not agree with, but it'll tell what many Americans are thinking. Since the end of the Cold War, U.S. economic policy towards China has been premised on the assumption that expanding trade and investment would have beneficial effects, both on China's external behavior and on the evolution of its domestic economic and political institutions. As it'd be political change that would follow the economic change. That country's deepening relationship with the United States and its broader integration into the global economy would, it was hoped, give it a stake in stability and encourage it to see itself as a responsible stakeholder in the existing international system. As its economy developed, China would move away from state-directed planning and place greater reliance on market mechanisms. Finally, as had happened earlier in Europe and other parts of Asia, so too in China, economic growth and the emergence of a new middle class would give rise to irresistible pressure for liberalizing political reforms. That was the expectation. As has become increasingly clear in recent years, these expectations have not been borne out, nor are they likely to anytime soon. To the contrary, the prevailing trends now appear to be running strongly in the opposite direction. China has grown richer, to be sure. By some estimates, the total size of its economy will soon exceed that of the United States. Far from liberalizing and relaxing its grip, however, in the past decade, the regime in Beijing has become more repressive and more militantly nationalistic. Instead of evolving into a mellow, satisfied status quo power, China has grown more assertive and is using its increasing economic clout and military power to challenge key aspects of the prevailing regional system and the larger international order. Meanwhile, instead of a steadily increasing reliance on market forces, the Chinese party state has continued and, in certain respects, expanded its use of quasi-mercantilist policy tools. In effect, the bottom line is that we had hopes for political evolution in China, both in terms of how they operated internationally as well as domestically, but those hopes have not been realized in spite of the significant economic change that we've all observed and welcomed.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to answer or to respond to the comment by the former Vice President of the world's superpower, the US. Please believe me, China will never learn from a world superpower. China will never try to be hegemonic. Just now you use the word and some other words, and that has nothing to do with the truth. You are talking about the new China's nationalism. I don't know where did you learn that. Maybe from some American biased journalists. But you are a great politician. You are not a biased journalist, sir. So excuse me for being so candid. China, according to President Xi Jinping's idea, will always have the people at the center. Will always believe in the principle of the people first. The people meaning not only the Chinese people, but also the people of the world at large. In 2013, President Xi Jinping, when paying a state visit to a neighboring country, he proposed for the first time the building of the One Belt, One Road idea. And the method of building this great idea is to learn from each other, to cooperate in the principle of peaceful coexistence, and to benefit the results of the building up of the One Belt, One Road, China will never try to be like a superpower, like the United States of America. And I hope our American friends will also know the basic or very simple principle. That is, history is the best teacher. According to what I learned from my American professors at the university, America, or the Northern American continent, used to be a colony of the UK, of the British Empire. And the American people suffered a lot. That's why there was the Independence War in 1776. I suppose some American politicians have forgotten their own history. Now there are people are talking a lot about the trade war between the US and China. They forgot about the trade war with the former rulers, the British colonialists. You forgot what happened in 1776 in Boston. You forgot about the incident of the tea pouring event. And that thing led to the Independence War. And after 8 years of fighting, America came into being in 1783. So America has such a history. That's why you developed first. You developed so fast later on. In China, we have a saying, which is, I believe, a truth. That is, a child from a poor family could go far, could do a lot, could be successful. American, you have your forefathers to be ruled, to be exploited, to be bullied by the Western European colonialists. So after you got independence, you developed so fast. You had so many inventions, and so on and so forth. And however, what the pity is, when you became the number one economy, the number one military power, you became a student, a learner of your former, boss, the British. You want to bully others. In 1900, you joined the other Western imperialists to invade China. In the 1950s, America took the lead to invade the Korean Peninsula. And you made a lot of trouble in the Middle East and around the Arab world. You tried to sow discord among peace-loving countries. And you didn't keep your promise. Talking about US-China relations, I was quite happy to thank you for you to give me the chance. Remember, sir, 1972 was still not too far away. On the last day, February the 28th, 1972, the first joint communique between our two countries was announced in Shanghai. According to that communique, we simply call it the Shanghai Joint Communique between China and America. The essential sentence in that document is that the American government finds that the Chinese people on the two sides of the Taiwan Straits all believe there is only one China. All believe that Taiwan is part of China. The American government does not challenge this position. This is a very important sentence in the first joint communique between our two countries. But I'm afraid, sir, have you ever read that? Have you ever read it?
I suspect he has.
Many politicians of America read it, but they forgot it. And they don't keep their promise. They betrayed their forefathers' promise. As they continued to interfere into China's internal affairs on the Taiwan question. For instance, you wanted still to sell weapons to Taiwan. For what? Is Taiwan a state, a city, a village of the United States? No, Taiwan is China's Taiwan. Just as about Hong Kong too. Hong Kong is China's Hong Kong. But the European Parliament even passed a so-called, act bill to interfere, to talk at random about our Hong Kong matters. This is ridiculous. This only damages the image of America in front of the world people. So thank you for understanding me, my candidness. I want to be candid. I learned this from my American teachers and my British professors. If you want to be a good person, you have to be candid. So for the future, I only hope we remember one of the rulers of EU told us, we have to start our future from today, not from tomorrow. I hope all the American politicians will realize the serious and the stupid mistake they already have committed, so that to do something good for the US people as well for people of other countries, including Arab countries. Indeed. Thank you.
Well, as we've said, it was a candid exchange.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Maybe I know our opinions might differ in regards to our observations when it comes to the points that each and every member of, the Chinese diplomat and the ex-vice president of the United States, what they said. And you could clearly see that majority of what the Chinese diplomat was trying to give, we gave crucial points, because indeed, China is not trying to be a superpower as USA is trying to see them as their competitor or as their enemy. But at the same time, China is humble enough to always learn, is humble enough to, and even if you try to hear the opinions of the citizens of China, they're not always online complaining about the cost of living and everything. But this is contrary to what's happening in the United States. And this really shows you, this really tells you that there is something like definitely or indefinitely that is wrong with the United States. Another thing to say is that in China, in as much as I know, every society got their own elites and how they're controlling, but the greed that is in the United States, you can't compare with the greed that is in China. Why am I saying this? Let's talk about health care, right? When you look at the health sector in China and health sector in the United States, people in China are not complaining about health issues as compared to people in the United States. One, the United States gives its citizens, and this has been allegedly been reported, United States gives its citizens substandard food, highly processed food. This is contrary to what people in China take, right? And then there are cases of diseases. Everyone in the United States is always complaining about a given disease that they have. This is also contrary to China, except for that one big blow of COVID-19 that, shook the world. But at the end of the day, look at the health sector. People in the United States are paying 10 times more as compared to people who are in China. So this tries to explain to you where the world is shifting. And also, I know as a matter of fact that very soon the United States is so pessimistic about Chinese taking over, because remember, China belongs to BRICS member, but the United States does not belong to BRICS member. So that really shows you the potential that really China has as compared to the United States, right? And honestly, I feel like China is doing way much better, because schooling, healthcare system, and everything. And I think people in the United States just recently, they just knew that all of their life or everything they have been living was just a scam, right? Was just a scam, because everything, the prices of goods and services skyrocketed. Another thing is what the US is trying to do. The US is always trying to fund things that are happening outside their country, whereas their citizens are struggling with even raising housing money, raising food, and they are revoking a lot of social services that were initially to people, like, for example, food stamps that are being taken out of it. So you get to understand that there are a lot of things that, I mean, I could say there are a lot of crackdowns when it comes to the United States as compared to China. And I understand the technocracy between United States and China has been something that I've always been talking about the question of nuclear weapon and everything. I understand when you look at the military, try to compare the military between the Chinese military and the US military. That's also been a comparison for the longest time. But at the end of the day, I like to measure a country's development, or if a country is doing good, by listening to how its citizens are saying, because the mainstream media will show you that the United States is doing well and everything is going on, but try to look at or try to hear the voices of its citizens. When you hear the voices of its citizens, that's when you're going to be knowing the truth. That's when you're going to be knowing the grass ain't green on the other side. And I think for the longest time, this is the season that most of immigrants, most of Africans have learned that, I mean, it was never that much green. And as much as I know, a lot of immigrants have gone there, and Mr. Trump is trying to, do something about it. But at the end of the day, I think still the United States has a chance to still wake up and still own its rightful position when it comes to talking about superpowers and everything. But at the moment, I think the United States is losing it. It's not like, it used to be. I'll say the United States is losing it at the end of the day, but still they still hope for change. They still hope for making this happen. They still hope for making this become a success. I don't know what you're thinking about the two countries. I don't know what you're thinking, but honestly, my vote would go for China any day since the beginning of all this. These are presented Jindoc stories. That was my opinion in regards to this. I hope this finds you right. Tell me what you think. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with my opinion. But at the end of the day, let's educate each other about all these things that are happening. As you always know, these are presented Jindoc stories. And I'm hoping to see you in my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.